Nate, it's been a little bit since we made a Kingdom Hearts video. I thought that you and I should take a look at 5 Disney worlds that would work great in this franchise. Now, these are not Pixar worlds. These are strictly Disney only. We are being professionals about this. We are categorizing our picks, and this is Disney. So I want to make that clear.
Thank you for making that clear.
Yeah, the House of Mouse needs to know what's going on with this when they come to this. We're like, oh man, we need ideas for our billion-dollar franchise from these losers. So anyways, if you're interested or enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like. Please subscribe. We appreciate it very much. There will be more Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy content going forward, along with everything else. It just kind of happens when it happens, like any great idea. So let's hop right into the list.
Number 5.
The first one is actually a lesser-known Disney movie, which is weird to say because I thought that it was really popular, but whenever people talk about classic Disney, they never talk about The Princess and the Frog.
Yeah, I think that's because this one came out after they moved away from their 2D style of animation.
Right.
So I think people don't categorize this as like a classic Disney movie.
It's just odd because, you know, she is considered, it's Tiana.
Yep.
She is considered a Disney princess.
Yeah, she is.
She actually is. And I really like her. I honestly do. Like, I thought she was a really interesting character. I like the story. I like the Bayou. I think there's a lot you could do with this. It depends on what direction you want to take it. You could go one of two ways with this. You could go the Sora and the team are human, and, you know, maybe the princess is a frog, and everything else proceeds as normal. Or you could go a more, I guess, different route, which is more Toy Story-ish, where it's like you are also a small animal and everybody in the party is, but then the enemies are bigger. That's kind of the issue you would have with this, is there were still human villains, you know, that were just much bigger than the frogs.
Right.
So it would depend on how you wanted to do this. Do you want to have the frogs be small and the party's normal, or the other way around? There are different ways you could go about this world, but traveling down the bayou would be really interesting. I would say that the form of magic involved with this is different as well, because
it's more dark magic.
Yeah, it's witchcraft.
Yep.
So I don't know, there's a lot you could do with that as well.
Yeah, I think something cool for this world would be maybe taking it after the movie. Because, you know, sometimes they don't follow the story. They actually go either before or after the actual movie.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool to go afterwards when Tiana actually has her store, and maybe there's like a secondary story or something that Sora gets involved. Sorry, a restaurant.
You're ruining the canon.
I'm sorry. But maybe there's like another story that Sora and friends are involved with in her.
Yeah, and
I'd include friends in there.
Yeah, jeez. Really struggling. Or I had another idea. What if Sora decided to meddle and he brought Little Chef to this world to open a competing restaurant to ruin Tiana's business?
I like it.
By over-flooding the market, and we make the story about capitalism.
I like it a lot, actually. Let's do that.
I don't know. There's a lot you could actually seriously do with this that I think would be interesting. This movie, I do have a soft spot for it. It's probably one of my favorite Disney movies, actually. Yeah. Just because of how interesting it is. The musical scores are
the musicals are amazing.
Like, I've Got Help on the Other Side.
Yeah, that's a good one. I also
amazing.
like the Down in New Orleans song.
Yeah.
That's like my favorite.
Yeah, I don't know. This movie, it did such a fantastic job. And look, here's the other thing. I don't talk much about this because I think that there's enough of a push in culture for this anyway. But this movie did what I would call natural diversity or natural culture inclusion, I guess.
Yeah.
Which isn't something we see a lot of in Kingdom Hearts outside of, I guess, Mulan. So, I mean, even that. I mean, it's like, no matter what direction you want to look at this world inclusion from, it would be a positive, I think.
Right. I think it definitely is a good addition.
Number 4!
So, the next one we have is actually WreckIt Ralph. Nate is a huge fan of this. This is one of your favorite movies. And, well, not just Disney movies, but movies in general. So, what would you want to see from this?
So, I think this movie fits right into the universe already because it already takes place in a video game world. And I think that that's something that's huge, and it'll add a lot to it. And you could actually add a lot of different elements to the Kingdom Hearts game. Like you could have them go into that bug world. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but the one where he goes in. It's Hero's Duty is what it's called. But it's basically like a shooter.
Okay, yeah.
You can go into there. You can have cool mini games in there. You can go into Sugar Rush and have like a cool driving game.
Do you want the internet involved? Like WreckIt Ralph breaks the internet? Like maybe we're finding memes of Lizzo or like Sora ends up on the hub on accident?
I don't want Lizzo memes at all.
Well, what about Sora accidentally finding the hub?
See, that could be kind of interesting.
And perhaps he has to team up with Elsa, Jean, and Riley Reid.
Is Sora legal? In this
game, yes.
Okay, then yes, I would like it. Yes, I would like it.
Okay, I don't know why you asked that question. That was a little
because Well, anyway, I think it could work.
Well, here's my question about this too. So we see WreckIt Ralph as sort of a summon.
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd want to see from him, like the character? Like, do you want this to pick up after the movies, or do you want it to take place during them, like when Ralph is going through his first adventure through the games? You know what I mean?
I think I would like it more to follow the movie WreckIt Ralph.
The first one,
the original
taking place during it.
Yes.
Okay.
So you are coincidingly going along with Ralph throughout his journey.
Okay.
As he goes through Hero's Duty, Sugar Rush, meets Vanellope and all that. I think that'd be kind of cool. And then you could have the boss Turbo in the actual movie. So, I don't know, I think there's a lot you could add with this, and you could also include other video game characters, too.
Yeah, well, the other thing, too, with this is that they proved that they were pretty creative when they did the handheld. I always forget the name of it, but it's the Mickey handheld game in 3, where they have all these classic games.
Yeah, the gummy phone.
Yeah, on the gummy phone. I forget the name of the app off the top of my head, so that's my bad, but basically there's all these classic games that are kind of like the old pocket handheld games, like Game & Watch type games. They've shown that they can do different design things like that, so I think that would fit in here well too.
Yeah.
Just in 3D.
Yeah, I think all around it'd be a great game. There's a lot you could add to it. You could even get licensings for other characters. Like I know Sonic makes an appearance in the movie.
Sega loves pushing Sonic in everything.
Exactly.
So they'd give you the license. You'd be
exactly.
Like, hey Sega, I want to put Sonic in
They're like, done. It's already done.
Well, we were going to put him in... Nope, we don't care. Put him in it.
Just do something with him.
Here, we'll pay you. Number 3. The next one we have is actually Treasure Planet, as they say in the movie. So I have watched this movie a couple times. I want to watch it again. I don't own it. But I love this film. This was such an underrated sci-fi classic. There's so much you can do with this. Kingdom Hearts did already have sort of a skateboard feature, by the way back in 2.
Yeah.
So you could really expand that in this into more of like the surfboard type thing as well. It lends itself really well to going around the universe to different places. Can you imagine, by the way, so the way they did it in Pirates was they had you out in the sea and you could land on different islands. What if you even had something like that in this world? Say like you could fly almost like a gummy ship type thing, but it's all one world.
Right.
And you could land on a different part, and go out there.
That'd be cool.
So there's a lot of different things too. And this story was very complicated. It was kind of about different things like poverty, wealth, treasure hunting, sci-fi elements. I feel like I'm not selling it well here, so maybe you can help me out a little bit.
Well, I haven't seen this movie since I was a kid.
Okay.
But I am in the same boat, right? I did remember liking it when I was a kid. I had wanted to buy it for like 3 years now. I just haven't.
Well, it's also hard to find.
Right, exactly.
Some of these more obscure Disney movies, same with, not to get off track, but Princess and the Frog, it's actually not easy to find a Blu-ray of it. That has everything it came with originally. Like I'm talking the sleeve, all the discs, everything like that. Most of the time you find it's missing something.
Right.
So it's kind of, I don't know, not hard to watch them, but difficult to collect these now. But I do think it would be interesting to, I guess, introduce new fans to Treasure Planet. They actually had plans for Treasure Planet multiple games ago. They found data in, I don't remember which game it was. I think it was Dream Drop Distance, that they were going to include this world, and it got cut during development. So it's already something that Square has considered including.
Right.
It just never made the cut, literally.
Right. Yeah, I think it'd be cool, like you said, to include it, because there's a whole generation of Disney fans that probably have never even seen the movie.
Yeah.
People like us, we grew up when we were kids watching this.
We grew up when we were kids.
When we were kids, we grew up watching this.
Yeah.
So for us, we probably vaguely remember it, unless we're like a huge fan.
Right.
So I think it'd be cool to introduce this back into the limelight.
Well, and I think as well, what we should walk away from this knowing is that we grew up when we were kids, and it keeps funny.
And I like that bird.
Number 2.
So the next one we have is Sword in the Stone. Now, Arthurian, I guess, legends, like King Arthur and the whole Sword in the Stone thing has been used in a lot of stuff. But I would say less so recently, probably because that live-action remake murdered everyone's interest in King Arthur.
Yep.
But this would be an interesting story because you're essentially with King Arthur before he's King Arthur. He's a child.
Right. Well, like a teen.
Right.
So-
I mean, he's a child.
Right.
He's like 2.
He's like 14. He's like 1.
He's like 1 year old.
Just came out of the womb.
He's basically a placenta. I don't know. No, so he's pulling the sword out of the stone, obviously, and this whole thing is about him kind of proving himself worthy.
Right.
So imagine that you are essentially entering this world as Arthur is pulling the sword out of the stone.
Right.
You know, is proving himself worthy of wielding the sword, which is essentially the sign that he should be king.
Yeah.
Now, if you move on after that as well, I think that movie, by the way, that movie's weirdly depressing throughout the movie.
Yeah, it was kind of weird how awkward it was and like
Yeah.
sad.
And especially like when he turns into animals and stuff.
Right.
I don't know. It's just an odd movie, but this would also be a way to tie Merlin in.
Yeah, because he's already in the universe.
And Merlin came from somewhere, you know?
Right.
Like, where did Merlin come from? Oh, here we go. We're at his world. There's a lot of characters like that. I mean, the Dalmatians were the same way. We didn't include them because we thought the world would be kind of boring.
Right.
But this would be a cool way to go through an Arthurian legend and kind of watch it unfold. Especially, like, imagine this. Imagine you're Sora and gang, and essentially it's about Arthur assembling the Knights of the Round Table.
Right.
That would be really interesting.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
And, you know, you could even have it kind of like the Three Musketeers thing, where it's like you're honorary members of the Round Table, but not really.
Right.
You know, you're just like honorary members.
Yeah, can you imagine like these super ripped, muscular guys like Lancelot, and then there's just Sora and Goofy?
Well, that's Kingdom Hearts for you. I don't know. Is there anything you'd want to see out of this world? I mean, this is essentially, I don't know, United Kingdom or British
Right.
urban, not urban legend, but like legend.
Yeah, I think one thing I would like to see out of it is more of a fantasy element. Like in the movie, there, you know, I'd like to see fantasy creatures, like maybe a dragon or something like that you can actually fight, just to give it more of the style of it being a Arthur, you know, tale.
Number 1. Number 1. It's number 1. Number 1.
So the final one we have for this list is The Emperor's New Groove. There is a lot you could do with this. Here's how I see it happening. I see this being a multi-game inclusion, as in at least 2 games where Emperor's New Groove is a world. Because here's how you do it. If you have one, I guess, I don't know, story where you drop in after he's already a llama,
Right.
you know, and you're taking place alongside the story, I think that would work really well. Because that story is really about character development and growth.
Yeah.
And him becoming not such a garbage human being. I mean,
Right.
that's really what it is Kuzco trying to improve as a person.
Right.
But he's not really trying. It just happens.
Right, because with his friendship with Pacha.
Yeah. So, yeah, Kuzco x Pacha is definitely
Right.
a big pairing people like. No, I don't know. I mean, this story is a big character growth story that would fit very well in the Kingdom Hearts overarching narrative. You could easily tie in whatever main story is happening in the Kingdom Hearts world to this world. They do that all the time as, like, allegorical stuff. Like, oh, Mulan went through this. That's kind of like me with this.
Right.
You know, they do that a lot with the most effective worlds. I think as well, it would show sort of the countryside of a less developed nation. I mean, that's what this is, which could be interesting. That is a bit of a different setting than we've seen before. But the second game that you include this in, you could sort of go the Emperor's New School route. I don't know if you watched that.
Yeah,
but
I was actually going to bring that up.
Yeah.
But you have the Emperor's New School. You also have Kronk's New Groove.
Yeah.
Which wasn't really that great of a movie, but it is another story.
Yeah.
You can talk about in that world. So, I don't know. I think there is a lot, like you said, you could actually include in multiple games.
Yeah, I think that if you did the first one alongside the movie, then the second one, it could be like as he's developing more as a person and he's human now.
Right.
You know, there's a lot you could do with that as well. And it would put Sora sort of in like a high school-y setting. Which, depending on how old he is, that might be creepy. Like, let's say he's like 20 in the game. Hey,
He's
guys,
like, "Hey,
I'm a
guys."
super senior. He's like, I'm back.
It's like all these like 14-year-olds.
Yeah. I don't know how you do that, but I do think that it would be very interesting.
Right. And I think they need to make the Keyblade a hammer so you can go, and I'll smash it with a hammer.
Yeah, exactly. You need to be able to make the jokes from the movie.
Exactly.
So anyways, these are our 5 picks for worlds that probably should be considered at least for new Kingdom Hearts games. I don't know why I was going to say Disney games. For new Kingdom Hearts games, these are just pure Disney worlds. We do have more for a different list for the future and also Pixar and stuff like that as well. But I'm interested, what are your thoughts? Would you want to see any of these worlds? How would you want to see them developed if they were included? What worlds would you want to see? And even from other brands, like is there anything from Disney or Pixar or anything else that Disney owns maybe now that you'd want to see? Sub-brands or anything like that? Let us know in the comments down below. We are interested. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more content. We will be making, like I said, more Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy stuff kind of over time. Trying to find an audience for that as well, since we're actually big fans of both the franchises. So we'll see you in the next one. Have a fantastic day. And as always, everybody, stay shway.